Andy K. Andy K. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Hey, everybody. Oh, hold on. I don't need to have the farm QR code up. Y'all don't need that. Oh, howdy, howdy, howdy. This is sort of chilled music you could meditate to or fall. Oh, yeah, that is true. I have this like weird choice of musical selections for the countdown, and they're all kind of like new agey, but their names are not descriptive at all. So, yeah. Although I guess there is a new one right now, Halloween. Let's see what that is. I don't hear anything. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I'll hear it. I don't hear anything. Huh. Really quiet. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's a weird sort of selection of music that I have. So anyway, hope the move went okay. So yes and no. We should actually just start. Hey, Graber, hello from Houston, or hello from Petoskey, Michigan. I have a bunch of friends in Houston. All the Linux Journal crew is in Houston. But anyway, yeah. So I moved the data center, the micro data center, what I called it. I moved it to my eldest daughter's house. It's in their garage, but there were a couple snafus. The first snafu is my son-in-law has GFI circuits, like outlets in the garage, and apparently they're old because as soon as I plugged in my rack, and my rack was only drawing about 8 amps total, and it would pop the GFI instantly, and that's really a pain in the butt. So I ended up like splitting the load amongst several circuits with extension cords. It was not great the first night. But the next day I put in a new GFI outlet and it seems to be working. So it was just really old GFI outlets and hopefully that's good. The other issue is, so they have the same fiber company that I have for internet, which is why I was moving it there. But before I had their service upgraded, I was just going to get everything installed. They only had 100 megabit service. You know, it's synchronous, 100 megabit up, 100 megabit down. So, I mean, even if things were slow, it would have been fine, you know, for a day or two until I could get them to increase the speed. But it turns out the fiber provider at the lowest tier, which 100 megabits is their lowest tier, and that's what I recommended my daughter and son-in-law get because all they do is, you know, watch some television and, you know, browse the web a little bit. So they didn't need any more bandwidth than that. And they're not gamers. So, you know, they weren't going to be downloading huge games or anything. Nonetheless, at the 100 megabit level, the fiber provider uses a carrier grade NAT or CG NAT. And that means they did not have a public IP, which means I could not get in at all from the outside. Like I couldn't SSH to them. I could have done some crazy like reverse tunneling stuff, but that would take away from the whole point of having fiber connected, you know, server spaces. So it was like late at night by the time I got the rack all set up. I called tech support and the guy said, well, yeah, it's carrier grade NAT. And I'm like, oh, do I have to upgrade to business or, you know, static IP or anything like that? And he said, well, any level of service other than the lowest level will get a public IP address. And since I was planning on upgrading them to the highest service level anyway, I said, oh, cool. And so that night there was no connectivity from the outside. So, you know, like my Plex server was down for a day, but it was fine. And the next morning, first thing I called and had them upgrade my daughter's service to full gigabit. And less than 5 minutes later, had a public IP. So it was all great. So yeah, it was something. It was a lot, but it worked. Wait, for some reason, whoa, my computer is. Wow. Well, as long as it's working, I'm not going to touch a whole lot. Like it's locked up. I'm getting a lot of like spinning rainbow wheels and my clock is stuck at 6:30. Anyway, so yeah, it's working and service is shut off at the farm. I did not go with, I I didn't even go with the single static IP because I'm no longer hosting my mail. So I'm just using like a, dynamic DNS hosting thing. And if the IP changes, it'll change in, less than a minute later. So I think it's going to be fine. And I don't get the guaranteed gigabit, but I haven't run up against any like slowdowns or anything. So yeah, anyway, that is, that's where we're at. I see I need to shave. I haven't shaved. And this is sadly for me, there's like a week of growth. My facial hair does not grow quickly. Yeah. Next thing is there's actually there was a showing. Actually, it should be done now at the farm. I no longer have internet connection there, so I can't look at the security cameras to see if if the people showed up to look at it. We have not gotten an offer yet, but there have been showings. So just keep my fingers crossed that it sells. And questions here. The stream did go chopping. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it seems to be fine. It's just like the background processes are locked up or something. I don't know why. Maybe it was my computer. I'm not going to touch it. If y'all tell me that it's like really bad, I can reboot, and we'll go from there. But I think I'm just going to try to not to poke the bear a whole lot, and when it's done, restart the stream. Because yeah. So anyway, did I miss any comments? A lot of stuff going by. Sorry. GFI is an RCD. I don't know, Andy. I don't know what an RCD is. GFI is a ground fault something. And maybe GFI is not the actual letters. I know it's a ground fault interrupt. Ground fault interrupt. So something called, it's like the ones there, they have to be in bathrooms here at least. And like there's little buttons in the center, like test and reset. And a lot of times something with a motor will cause them to pop really annoyingly. It's something like if there's a spark. No, that's a spark gap thing. Those used to be required in bedrooms, and now they're not. They pop at the slightest anything. Anyway, but that was the issue. I don't know why. I don't think GFI outlets are required in garages. That was going to be the next step because, I mean, there's circuit breakers, and if if we went over the amperage, it would blow the circuit breaker. So the GFIs were a little bit redundant, but I don't know, maybe GFIs are required in garages. Choppy again. Huh. I wonder if that's me. It shouldn't be, but it could be, I suppose. Bum, 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 bum. It looks like, let's see, townhouse traffic. Looks like I'm doing a steady 10 megabit up. And I have like 30 megabits, so it should be okay. Yeah, I don't know. I apologize if it's if it is the computer, though. I guess it could be. Ground fault circuit interrupt. Okay, there we go. Back to okay now. All right, Byte Moose. I don't know. It could be my computer. I haven't rebooted in a while, but nonetheless, sounds like we call them over here. They react quicker than circuit breakers. Yes. Yes, and there's actually two. So Andy, there are two types, and so the GFI or GFCI maybe it is. It could be that I shortened it more than I should. But then there's also like a spark something, spark circuit breaker. See if I can come up with the name of that. Oh man, types. It's like a arc fault. That's what it is. An arc fault circuit arrestor. They used to be required, at least here in Michigan, they used to be required in bedrooms. And I think they were required for like, I don't even know why, like maybe for space heaters or something. But they're even more sensitive than a GFI outlet, and they're actually on the breaker panel. But the problem with them is the arc fault, anytime there is a motor, like with brushes. So like, for example, we had our treadmill in our bedroom. The second you turn it on, it instantly pops the breaker because there is a spark. It somehow detects the arc and instantly blows the circuit. And so we actually had to run our treadmill over an extension cord wrapped around the corner and plugged into the next room that wasn't a bedroom, which seemed a little bit ridiculous. So I don't remember if I might have just replaced it because I know it's no longer the requirement. So I might have just replaced it with a regular circuit breaker in our basement. I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing. But his garage, I mean, I can't imagine that GFIs are required. I mean, maybe because it's like the potential to get wet. I just don't know. I truly don't know. But it seems to be working now with the replacement one. So that's good. And then I have it's a big 24 volt lithium iron phosphate battery, 100 amp hour, and an inverter. It's actually a solar inverter too. I just don't have any solar panels connected to it, so it's just acting like a battery backup right now. But it should. I haven't set it up, but I'm hoping that it will allow us to get notified if the power goes out, because the battery backup will just start working. But what I don't know is, I hope that there's notification stuff that I can use. Here, we'll try to look at this together. Ooh, gosh, that was. Oh yeah. I forgot it does this every week. There we go. All right, so okay, so this is really cramped on the screen. Let's see if I can the whole thing on there. So this is not open source software even, which is a little bit annoying for me. But so this tells me all about it. So like it's 121 volts right now. The load. So my entire server rack right now is only 500 watts, which I think is pretty impressive. And then it's also trickle charging the battery. 100 watts. That's quite a trickle charge. Okay, charts, totals. Looking for notifications. Automations. Oh yeah, here we go. Automation. Battery state of. No. I don't want to control anything. No. Apparently automation is not what I want. I wanted notification. Well, home assistant. Ooh, home assistant. Wow, that'd be cool. Well, if I can get it set up with Home Assistant, then I could, no. Then I could set up a notification from there. All right, I don't know. I'll look at that later. Oh, it's looking a little choppy for me now, too. Well, that's not ideal. All right, let's see. Hip Dad, hello. Jake, hello. Shane, it's gone shopping in the video. Yeah, it might. Oh, yeah, it's kind of like stuttery for me, too. I should really reboot, but that might be a pain in the butt. So if it gets unbearable, let me know. Fix my 1 point. I start. Ooh. Oh, yeah, fix it while I'm at it. I don't know about that. Are you using What audio interface are you using? Are you using like Pulse Audio, or what's that new one everybody's raving about? I can't even remember. When I was having audio issues, somebody said, "Oh, you should be using, I don't like Power Audio." No, it's not. I don't know what it is. There's something else though. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm very distracted in the pipe wire. That's it. Yes. Scott, thank you for being smarter than me. Yes, Pipewire is so HipDad. If you haven't used, you knew too. Okay, and that's what you're using already. Yeah, I have no idea. I did some crazy Pulse Audio things on my desktop machine, trying to get various things to work. Like for me though, it was input devices. I had a Scarlett i2i or 2i or something, the Scarlett microphone, like device, plug in an XLR mic and it's a USB device. USB interface, that's the word. Anyway, I had to use some special crazy Pulse Audio stuff in order to split the two inputs from stereo devices into individual mono devices, because Linux would only see it as a stereo input, and that is not what I wanted. So, Pulse volume interface. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like we're in this like weird state, hoping that the farm sells so we can finish stuff off. And I never did try Pipewire, only because I had worked so hard to get Pulse Audio to do what I wanted that I was like, that's that's what it's going to be. I'm just going to stick with it. Okay, talking now. I haven't talked a whole lot, so I got to put just a little tiny piece of wax on my. All right, it's not perfect, but it was starting to wear a hole in my cheek. So it worked in KDE, but worked in. Oh, that's weird. That is one of the. So it's funny that you say that, HipDad. One of the reasons when I was using the Debian on my desktop machine here on my desk, I used straight up Debian, and I didn't use a desktop manager. I just used a window manager, ICE WM, and I did that because it seems like the desktop managers try too hard to make everything work perfectly, and then when they don't work perfectly, they just don't work right. So anyway, checked out getting Linux Essentials, Linux Plus. Person asking for a palm scan to me a lot. Holy cow, Bite Moose, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I think everybody's in kind of a holding pattern on everything until the election, which is, understandable. Drastically different views on things. So anyway, today my wife and I already voted. So our duty as one of the swing states here, we live in Michigan, which means that our vote is so important, which annoys the crap out of me. But we already voted. But today I am building. My wife wants a shelf for work, just like a display shelf, and she just wanted like two ladders leaning against each other, like an A-frame, and then have like shelves across the rungs of the ladder. Problem is we couldn't find a ladder that was really ideal, so I'm just building one. I just got some 1x2s and some dowel, and I'm building two 6-foot tall ladders with 5 rungs, and then I got some 12-inch by 3-foot boards that I'm gonna make shelves out of, and then trim them so they're smaller as they go up. And then that's what I was working on before the live stream. I'm going to finish that after we're done, because she is done working at 5:30. So the live stream is done at 4. So yeah, I got to just hustle my butt to get it ready in time. But I should be able to. I think I'll be able to do it. Thought voting was how does it work over there? So Yeah, it's so White Moose, it's different in every single state. So every state has their own voting rules and guidelines and what's required, what you can do, what you can't do. Here in Michigan, I don't think we could vote early in the last election, but this year we can vote early. I don't know how long before the election. Today is Sunday, so today is the last day of early voting. And my wife and I voted throughout the week. I think it went back either a week or maybe the 2 weeks before, where you could go in, and there's not as many voting locations like early voting locations. Like a bigger geographic area has like one voting location, as opposed to on election day, there's like a bunch of different polling places you can go to vote. I mean, everybody has one to go to, but there's the sections of how many people have to go was smaller. Anyway, so yeah, it's not the place we normally vote, but we went there, and it's voting just like normal. And then today is the last day you can early vote. Then tomorrow there's no voting. I think they just, they're like wrapping up whatever they have to wrap up for the early voting. And then Tuesday is election day, and that's where everybody in all 50 states can vote on Wednesday. But every state has different rules on if there's early voting, if there's mail-in voting. A lot of states you can mail in your votes. There's also different rules in every state with regards to registering to vote. Some states you can register to vote the day of the election. Some of them, it's like a month or two before the election you have to be registered by. So it's every single state is different. And then how they count the votes in every state is different too. Like some states, they have a rule like they can't start counting early votes until the end of the day on election day. Some places they can count like the mail-in votes in advance, but they can't count. Every state is very different. Yeah. Yeah, Gray's right. Yeah, it's oof. And then there are, I mean, it's hard not to get political, because then there are, in some places, political parties want to make it harder for people to vote, because the people who will have a harder time voting are the people who will likely not vote for certain parties. And so there's like rules that they try to pass to make it harder for those people to vote. It's really, it's a big old... It's a perfectly organized, well-documented, consistent process, just like Gray Brewer says in the thickest sarcastic voice possible. So anyway. Scott, yes, you and, I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess so. Probably bluer than California, right? I know California is, particularly blue as well. Yeah. A bunch of new nutters to replace the old nutters. I'll tell you what, though. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard not to talk political, but America can sure set the bar for nuttiness at times. I think that's apolitical enough while still being pretty clear. Yeah, it gets crazy here. Although the few times that I've seen like a British Parliament like on TV and stuff, I mean, they can get into like absolute screaming matches, and which is like, it's almost refreshing for us to see like, oh, there's a bit of insanity other places too. Shane, yeah, I think so. There's a lot of people, although some people are in different class of nutties. Sure, yeah. I don't know. It's also weird to me how much money is spent on the election. I mean, I don't know how much the Trump campaign raised, but like the Harris campaign raised like $1 billion to spend on campaign stuff. And that's just like, my goodness. That seems like a lot. Yeah. They do get to look cool with wigs. Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't even know who Arnie is. Who's Arnie? I don't know. I am trepidatious. I have trepidation about this election because I don't think that we'll have, like, normally late Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning pretty much know who has won, but I don't think that'll be the case this year. Yeah. Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Yeah, he can't be because he wasn't born here, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, UK politics has been it's so literally foreign to us, or at least to me, that a lot of the nuance I miss, like I mean even the Brexit thing, which I know is getting to be old news now, but even Brexit, like I vaguely understood what was going on there, but the nuance of what it would mean on a day-to-day basis, it was completely lost on me. I mean the EU and what that means for people on a daily basis is just beyond my experience. So there's really nothing for me to, I just don't get it. But, oh, in some movie. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was governor of California, and that's a big deal. So. Boris is why we can't criticize anyone. I don't know, Andy. I mean, yeah, he's a character, at least from what I've seen, but I still think we've got plenty of I think we've got plenty to poke fun at still. Do I have any exciting projects or plans coming for the holidays? Project? No, I don't think so. Really selling the farm is our only big chore right now. Really want to get the farm sold. I do have the storage unit, and my truck is now running. I don't remember where I was with my truck. Had I just gotten my truck back last week? So my truck has been out of commission for almost a year because a brake line broke, and I could not get the brake line out at all. I just couldn't get it to come out of the ABS, the anti-lock braking system. And so it just sat in my driveway. And I did finally drive it to a mechanic, and he fixed it. I think I talked about this, but he had to buy a special tool to get the thing out, so I didn't feel so bad. But anyway, then I had to replace brake pads because it locked up, and I got home in a big cloud of smoke. It was not great. But my truck is working now, and so then I got my my Volkswagen, the first of 3 Volkswagens, moved to a storage shed, so that is in there. I got 2 more to move, and then a tiny little electric city car. If you haven't seen what a city car is, I'll Google one, because I have one of these that I'm gonna buy a go-kart. Not a go-kart, golf cart. Let's see, city car 1980 we'll go with. Let's see. Yeah, so this is what a city car looks like. I have a blue one. It looks exactly, it looks, well, like one of the blue ones here. Like, looks kind of like this. And it has a battery bank in the back, in the front. They're lead acid, but I'm going to try to get a golf cart, maybe one that was in a wreck or something, and use the engine and the drive system and the brakes and put it on this, because the car itself is street legal, which is ridiculous that it's street legal. But I want to. Oh, come on. There we go. I want to make it work. It's kind of junky right now, but I want to make it work. And then I have the 3 Volkswagens as well. So anyway, am I going to be doing the? Oh yes, absolutely. Christmas Eve scavenger hunt. We'll absolutely be doing it. And every year I try to get it so that it streams, so they can take a device with them and stream. And make it as reliable as possible with varying levels of success. But yeah, we'll definitely do that again. We should start planning that too, because there's a lot of adult children now involved, and there are little babies too, which I think will probably just babysit the grandkids again, which means that if we're babysitting the grandkids, it's going to be less hands-on from us. So we have to make sure it's all just set up in advance. But yeah, absolutely. We're going to do that again. Why am I selling the farm? So I'm selling the farm. So there are reasons that I can talk about, and there's reasons I can't talk about. But my daughter and son-in-law, not my eldest, but my middle daughter and her new husband, have been living at the farm for a couple of years, but they just bought their own house, so they moved out. So the farm is empty. My wife does not want to live at the farm. It's an older farmhouse, and it's a long ways away from town and a long ways away from where she works, and the most important thing, it's a long ways away from our grandbabies. So we're going to stay here in town, and the reason we bought the farm originally was to do a college ministry through church, and that is long since done. So we don't really have a reason to hold on to it. So it's just a tax burden, and the utilities alone, because it's out in the middle of nowhere and it's an old drafty farmhouse, it's like $700 a month utilities, with like heat and electricity and stuff. So we're just gonna sell it and just, we don't need it anymore. So yeah, that's it's a little bittersweet because it's such a gorgeous piece of property, and I'm gonna miss having it, but it's fine. Yes. Yeah, it is a ridiculous little car. The most ridiculous thing about the city car is that it's street legal. Like, you can get, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the gem cars, but they're like little electric cars. They're like one step closer to a car than a golf cart. But the thing about a gem car is that you can only go on streets that have a speed limit of 35 miles an hour or lower. They're called, like, there's an actual term for them, like low speed neighborhood vehicles, NEVs, neighborhood vehicles or something. Anyway, but the city car from 1980 was actually a fully street legal car. Now, I couldn't take it on the expressway, but not because it would be illegal on the expressway. On the expressway, you have to go at least 45 miles an hour, and it didn't go that fast. I think it tops out at like 30 miles an hour. But you can take it on any road, which is just really, really cool. So I want to make it a more reliable, engine and stuff, so that we can drive it around, not worry about like, oh, can we go on this road or not go on that road? Plus, they're just ridiculously cool looking. So yeah, I want to get it completely redone because, like I said, it's street legal. And then the Beetles, I also am going to do a conversion on at least one of the Beetles to make it an EV. But I have to get a garage. That's really the next thing. So the other thing, Jake, the other reason that we're selling the farm is the money that we get from it, if it sells, hopefully, we're going to reinvest into our house here, because in town we do not have a garage. And so that makes it really, really difficult for doing any sort of car project or working on a vehicle or a city car or anything like that. But also our next vehicle or vehicles will probably be EVs, and not having a garage, it's still possible to set up charging for outdoors, but it's a lot more difficult, especially when the snow really hits. And so we really want to have a garage in the next couple of years. And so the money that we get from the garage or from selling the farm, hopefully will go towards building a garage. We've had various plans for how we're going to do it. We don't really have a lot of space here, but we live kind of on the side of a hill. And so I think we're going to make a street level garage and replace our front yard with it. And then the seal or the roof of the garage will be just about entry level into our house again, because we're on a hill. And so I think we're going to build a deck on top of the garage in the front yard that will walk out of our front door. And then we'll have parking street level in that garage. I don't know exactly how getting into the house is going to work. We haven't figured that part out exactly. We haven't talked to an architect yet, but that's the plan anyway. So, perfect for New York City. Yeah. Just pick it up and carry it with you in the when you get to work. And you can actually, the electric grid could cope if everyone went to EVs. So not at once. No, the electric grid certainly could not handle it if everybody went to EVs all at once. But I think that it's going to. I think the electric grid will continue to get more robust, and I think that there's also people will be offsetting that with the like solar stuff that is getting much cheaper. So, you know, if everybody has some solar stuff on their home to offset some of the electric consumption, you know, even if they're not fully off grid, but just something to offset a lot of that usage, it'll be economical. And solar stuff is getting so much cheaper and so much more efficient that I think it's going to be more practical, even to have a small solar install on top of a typical house. Now, in apartment buildings and stuff, that won't be much help. But I think the electric grid is going to get more and more robust because things like heat pumps for heating and cooling a home is so much more efficient than using like gas for burning. But gas is still pretty cheap. But I think gas is going to keep getting more expensive, and electric stuff is going to get less expensive. So I think the electric grid is going to grow while the other infrastructure is still going to hang on for a long time. And we're going to be living in a hybrid world for decades. But I think that it's just going to slowly grow and grow more. So I also think that once people, you know, more and more people have EVs, and the EV technology is already to the point where you can use your car as a power, you know, to power your home in the case of a power outage. I think that's amazing. You know, you have that enormous battery bank sitting in your garage, and in the case of a power outage, you can use that to keep your house going. So there's a lot of cool innovations that I think EVs are going to be pivotal in, but it's not going to be all at once because, yeah, the grid couldn't handle it. It just couldn't. So anyway, Hip Dad, speaking of garage, you have to go back out to mine. Oh, all right. I'm jealous, Hip Dad. I do not have a garage. I do at the farm. It's not a great garage at the farm, and we've never lived at the farm. So anytime I did work in the garage, it was always like drive 35 minutes to get there, hope I remembered all the tools, that kind of a thing. So Gray, so sorry if you already covered it, but how would one go about making an LED bar similar to yours in the background? Oh, yes. It is a fun Linux project all on its own. It's called WLED. I think you can probably just Google it quicker than I can get a link for it. But just WLED. It's an open source project. And it's software that you flash onto a little like ESP32 little Arduino thing. I think mine is on a ESP8266. I think those are the right letters. Scott will probably correct me if I got those wrong. But yeah, it's a tiny little Arduino board, and it's connected with micro USB. The new ones have USB-C, and then it's just a 1 meter long LED strip from Amazon that I got, and it's inside a little plastic light diffusing tube that I also got from Amazon. And I did end up here. I'll get it because it's pretty cool. Hang on. So yeah, it's aluminum on the back. Ooh. I don't know if it'll come on, focus on the right thing. Come on, you can do it. It's part of you're supposed to do it. No, don't focus on the microphone. Anyway, I'll just hold it back here. So it's an aluminum channel, and then there's like a white plastic diffusing thing. And it's designed to hold a meter-long strip, and then the wires at the end of the strip come out of here. And inside, I just printed this with a 3D printer. This is just a tiny little box, but it's just one of these Arduino. Oh, there, now it's going to focus on it. Just an 8266, ESP8266, I think. And this one is older, so it's powered with micro USB, and it's Wi-Fi connected. And I actually control it with Home Assistant. But yeah, it's all open source, really easy to install, a fun project. And that bouncing ball thing is just one of the many programs that it has. So, and you can also make like grids of them too. Like if you get a bunch of strips. So there's lots of stuff you can do with ESP or with WLED. This is just one of the simplest ones, and I like it for the background. So anyway, hit dead. Heat pumps only work efficiently if you have very tight insulation. I mean, yeah. So yes, I mean, that's true, but they're more than 100% efficient, like by design. So, I mean, the issue why gas for heating is so much cheaper right now is because gas is a lot cheaper than electricity. But as far as like efficiency goes, I mean, you can never get more than 100% efficient with a gas heater, whereas with a heat pump, it's actually moving heat, not creating heat. So, yeah, anyway. Jake, I've been in the automotive industry for 30. More of a fan of the plug-in hybrid option. I get that, Jake. You know, and when the Volt came out, I was really excited about the Volt, and I thought that was the perfect thing. But now, especially with the advantages that, again, I'm not going to get one in the next couple of years. So, you know, they're going to get even better than what they are now. But with the idea that you can use that giant battery bank for other purposes, like powering your house in the case of an outage, I do like the idea of a fully electric car. And also, while there's more computer stuff to worry about and the connectivity concerns me, you know, I don't like having my vehicle completely connected all the time in order to work, and I know that all the EVs are like that now. I do like the fewer, like, I mean, gasoline engines are complex and require lots of maintenance. But anyway, it's a moot point for me right now. But I do want to have a garage, and that's one of the reasons, so we can have things inside to power things up. Side comment, not sure if you've seen thoughts on kernel level anti-cheat for games. I have not seen that, Bite Moose. I haven't seen anything about anti-cheat stuff in the kernel level. That's interesting though. No, I don't know about that. So heat pumps. So Scott, yes, although they are getting so amazing now. Heat pumps, even full house heat pumps, they like are still workable and efficient at like 20 below zero. They can still pull heat out of the atmosphere like 20 below zero. And while yes, we may have colder times than that, most of the, especially full house heat pumps, also have heating elements that, you know, they just put in the ducts, so that in a situation where the efficiency of the heat pump is either not efficient or unable to pull heat from the outside, it just starts warming up wires. You know, traditional, you know, basically your giant space heater in your house. And while it's only 100% efficient that way, it's still, you know, you don't go cold. And the amount of days that we have in a calendar year that are going to be consistently below 20 below zero, it's not a ton. But heat pumps are still expensive, and I mean, yeah, they take a lot of electricity, and gas is still, like natural gas. If you can get natural gas, it's still much cheaper. So again, I think that it's going to be a slow transition over time, but I gotta think that it's going to happen more and more. And correct me if I'm wrong, all you European folks, but I think heat pumps are far more popular or common over in Europe than they are here. It's still very uncommon for us to have heat pumps. We have air conditioners, which is a heat pump that only goes one way. But I think heat pumps are more common in Europe. I could be wrong with that, though. Great Brewer, thanks so much. Perfect weekend project. Oh, yeah. And absolutely. I would recommend getting, I'm sorry, let me pop this in the screen. I realize that I'm talking from stuff that is past here, but I recommend getting the ESP32 units. They're newer. They have a little more oomph to them, and price-wise, they're about the same as the ESP8266s. But I just would recommend getting those instead of the other ones. But either one will work. And for just WLED, I mean, if you can save $1 on each one, the ESP8266s work just fine. So yeah, it is a fun project. It really is. Do I have any experience learning more embedded Linux projects? I don't, other than, I don't have experience with doing things other than like things like WLED that I think, I don't know what is programmed in an Arduino. Probably Linux stuff. I guess I don't really know, but, and IoT stuff. I mean, all of my home automation stuff and, Internet of Things stuff has been one level above that. I use projects, but I haven't contributed or created any projects using embedded Linux. Split systems actually would be more efficient. Yeah. You mean like if you had, do you mean here like if you had a split system, like you had natural gas and like a heat pump thing, or a heat pump and then with the heating elements as well? Either way, I mean, I think it's just going to be this slow migration to electricity because it's a more efficient way to use stuff. Even if the power plants are using natural gas to make that electricity. Alec did some number crunching. Alec from Technology Connections did some number crunching in. Even if the power companies are using natural gas fired production of electricity, it's still more efficient if they do that and we use that electricity that they produce to use heat pumps. But nevertheless, I tried heat pumps over here, but they're not taken off. Oh, okay, that makes sense, Byte Moves. And price is a really big thing. That is a really big issue right now. And I think they're going to slowly get cheaper because they're becoming more and more popular. But efficiency-wise, they're definitely getting better, and they work, at a much lower temperature than they ever did before. But they're still very expensive. And they're expensive to create and purchase, but also electricity itself, even when it's more than 100% efficient, is still often more expensive than just burning gas to get the heat. Again, it might be less efficient to burn the gas, but if it's cheaper and it costs less, I mean, it is what it is, right? People are going to want to do the thing that costs the least. So, Linux infotainment. Okay. Wow, it's already 10 minutes till. Yes, I highly recommend this as a project. It's a ton of fun. I kind of wanted to do a grid of them, but I still haven't, because you can actually make pictures even. Like if you get a tight enough grid of them, you can actually get a, X by X. It almost becomes a screen, and I think you can actually do images and stuff with it, which is just so cool. Yeah, this is the perfect time of year to buy really cheap candy too. If you don't forget, Halloween's over now, so grocery stores have candy super cheap if you want to stock up on candy. I may or may not have a drawer behind me with a lot of candy in it that I picked up at 50% off. So I'm just saying. Oh, and let's see. I guess that's about all the news. I got to build the shelf here as soon as we're done live streaming. I got to build that and get it to my wife very soon. And then I have like I have to do some Google Cloud stuff. I was going to do it today, but today's already gone. So definitely all day tomorrow, and then all day Tuesday I'll be making content. I have to get 3 skills done. Hopefully I can get that done in time. So anyway, turkeys the day after Christmas are cheap. Yeah, I mean, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't get many turkeys, but it's funny that you say that, Scott, because they make I think it's the Tofurkey brand. I don't remember what brand it is. Maybe it's not, but they make these things. They're called holiday roasts, and they are about the size of a tube of sausage. You know, like Pepperidge Farm or what's that other sausage place? I don't know, but you know, like a tube of sausage. They're about that big, and they're called like holiday roast, and they're vegetarian. They are really, really delicious, and I'm saying that as somebody. I'm not saying like, oh, it's better than meat. It's, you know, it's so, I realize it is not meat, but all the meat eaters in my family actually enjoy it, right? Make like little medallion slices out of it. And it reminds me of like a pork loin. Anyway, they stock them around the holidays. So they'll start getting into the stores now, but they only sell them around the holiday time. So we generally buy as many as we can, and just fill the freezer with them because they make an amazing dinner. They're just juicy and wonderful and very tasty. And so, yeah, it's the time of year where we have to stock up on them because they only are sold this time of year. And I hope they sell them again this year because, I mean, who knows if they'll happen. Scott, I love the Impossible Whoppers too. That's, you know, if we ever decide to just do like an easy dinner, we'll go and get a couple Impossible Whopper meals at Burger King because, yeah, they're delicious. They really taste like burgers to me. I mean, it's been years since I've had a burger, but I think they're, you know, they taste like a Whopper. So anyway, yes, it was another fast hour. Yeah, I hope work goes well this week. Tuesday is the last day of the pay period, and so I have to get it done really early in the week. So tomorrow I'm just going to have to knuckle down and do the work super quick. I already have the skills created, so I just need to do it. So wish me luck on that. I'll try to do morning live streams this week as well. Last week I just kind of gave up. I was working on my truck and trying to get, you know, all the stuff done, and now that stuff is done. And then I was moving the server rack and everything on Thursday. So yeah, it was a crazy week. But now the server rack is moved. That was the big thing. Having the server rack moved is nice. So, and just to get enough Christmas pudding to last well into spring. And Christmas pudding means something different. Is that like a cake kind of thing, Andy? See, like pudding for me, I know that it means a different thing. Cause like pudding for us is like, you guys call it something else, but it's like a mousse, but like a thick goopy stuff. But it's like I know from the Great British Bake Off, pudding is like a moist cake or something like that. But yeah, we have to get some of those holiday roasts. They're just so good. I kind of want one now. But anyway, I'm going to go so I can finish up that ladder shelf thing that I'm building downstairs. So have a great week, everyone. And next Sunday, maybe we'll know who the next U.S. president's going to be. Maybe not, but maybe. Yeah, so have a good one. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and I will